Greetings.
Greetings, good afternoon, Batman.
It's afternoon someplace, I guess. What's happening?
Yeah.
How is it yours anyway? How does anybody own anything? Can you prove anything? That's the question. I call it Yusuf. Yusuf is 9/10 of the law. Where was you when I started using it? I'm using it. Is it a crime to use everything here that unless somebody else is using it? I mean, what's the honorable thing to do if somebody's using something? You're going to run up to them and grab it away from them and say, that's mine? Other than that, I mean, once you leave something and go in another direction, are you using it anymore? Could it be title is only 1/10 of the law? Possession is 9/10 of the law. But could it be use of is 9/10 of the law? You claiming ownership of the name or you claiming use of? You know, is it a crime for using this? That's irrelevant whether you own it or not. The point of the matter is, what evidence do you have that I claimed ownership of anything? I was using it. Where was you when I started using it? What's so hard to comprehend about that? And if somebody says, well, I built that, I put time and sweat in that, would it be a problem for me to have it to use? And an honorable individual would probably just, well, here's sorry. If I offended you, please forgive me. And give it to them. It's like Nora of fiction that only exists in the minds of men. Is that sanity? Would it be better to say using the name as a tool? I'm really not here to look for admissions and confessions, but if that's what you believe, who am I to argue? You're making a lot of statements. Why you make them? You got a guilty conscience? How can anyone really make a promise? You know, if you're still going to be alive 1 minute to the next, could possession really mean use of? Are you pre-programmed, or is that? Could you been pre-programmed already to realize everything's here just to use, but you choose otherwise? You choose to do it a different way? Yeah, like you think you got rights to something? Like I like to ask people, when's the last time you asked a dead man what happened to his right to breathe? Maybe it'd be better to say use of be 9/10 of the law? Yeah, I was using it. What's the issue? Why to leave the birth certificate alone? Because me personally, I believe I'd leave it. I wouldn't bring it in there. The words out of the mouth. It's just one more wooden idol, you might say, to help muddy the waters. Make it clear to them. I'm coming here. I believe there's a mistake, and I have some first-hand knowledge that might help settle this matter honorably. Right there, it doesn't matter where you're at. You just told the court you're a witness. I don't give a shit if you're in the bar or sitting on the judge's lap. Think about it. He's the first witness. Now, the way he acts and what he says gives the court his status. And when he handed the birth certificate over, if you ask me, that was acting on behalf of the defendant or defending the name. He became the defender of the name. He might as well be the defendant. And that's when the judge got. When he said, is this the only copy you have? Said, yes. He claimed ownership. He just became the defender of the name. He was acting on behalf of the name. Well, yeah. When I believe if you go in there to give first-hand testimony looking for the evidence that I own anything, what evidence do you have that I own anything? See, like I say, I'll come in there, I say, I believe there's a mistake. I believe I have some first-hand testimony, maybe something like that, and I like to help settle this matter honorably. After that, it's question mode. When you make any statements, man, you're acting as the defendant after that. Unless the guy says, well, yeah, thanks for being a witness, and I believe we can settle this matter honorably now. Thank you for your help. Anything else you need? Any objections if I leave now? Then go.
They'll say, well, if you're not that person, then we're going to put a arrest warrant out for him. What's that?
Well, whatever, Judge. If you feel a need for that, who am I to argue with it? The point of the matter is, what evidence do you have that it has anything to do with me? I hate to see a mistake happen in the public and people get harmed that need not be. Or you might want to bring that up or whatever if you're worried about the warrant. The point about the warrant is, so he says it, talk is cheap. Does that mean he'll do it? If you stay on point, maybe he's just fishing to see, oh, no, Judge, what do you need? Don't put a warrant on the name. Heck, what am I going to do? Think about it. Good. Did you ask the sheriff if he had the right individual? The point of the matter is, did you ask him? And it's fine. Would it make you happy if I go back before the judge? He said, yeah, well, go. And then I hit the judge up again, just like I've been hitting him. You're supposed to ask questions. What evidence do you have that name is me? Every man's a liar. The only statements I'd make is ones like, I believe there's a mistake. Okay, I'm here to give first-hand testimony in the matter, and I'd like to help settle this matter honorably. Other than that, I'd be asking questions until somebody gets the drift, See, the thing of it is, we're programmed with how to be honest with one another. We already have this knowledge. If I got it correctly, it says, it's written on every man's heart. The thing of it is, we let ourselves astray. We look at the illusions and the fictions and claim ownership and whatnot, and then we wonder why we get billed, Who's the problem here? See, a lot of people want to blame everybody else but themselves. And people like that, what can I say to people like that other than have at it, brother?
We're the masters of our own destiny.
I believe so, in a roundabout way. It all comes down to the choices you make at the moment. What else is there? You keep asking questions. Heck, what am I doing telling the teachers what to do? You got to sleep with what you do, man. Maybe the reason why people have disease is because they treat people like the last way they want to be treated, and then maybe they're at disease, and that's maybe where disease comes from. Could that be? What's the difference unless you're enjoying where you're at the moment? I used to think the Illuminati was the enemy. The more I learn is they're the old schoolmaster. They're there to help us get educated. Once we get educated and realize who the problem is, could it be we're the Illuminati? How come the moon's always facing the same way? You wouldn't lie to me, would you? Here's the answer, if you want my opinion on it. The more I let things go, the more I have what I want. But if I go out to get what I want at all costs, then I wind up having nothing. Money's only worth what one will do for it. Think of it is, if you're doing for others, you're going to find others are going to do for you. You're going to get what you put out. But if you're worried about what other people think of you, let me tell you something. More and more as I go down this path, who gives a shit what they think? What evidence they have that what they believe of me is true? The point of the matter is, what am I doing at the moment to help those around me? I'm just saying that the way you speak, you're still focusing on ownership. I want the best for everybody around me. Some people have what they call religion, and they're just following traditions of men. Where's the argument if one is asking questions? How can there be an argument if one is asking questions? You just believe you're arguing when you're actually trying to find a meaning of the minds with all the brothers and sisters on this so-called rock they call Earth? What evidence do you have that I'm complicating this so-called life? You say that's mine. And I'd get their perspective on it, if possible. But then again, who judges who? Could the unpardonable sin be not forgiving oneself? Own nothing. Use everything. And if that's what you believe, who am I to argue with what you believe? You can go into the courtroom when somebody calls out the name. You can say, yeah, I'm here. In other words, in my opinion, you just told the judge, yeah, that's my name. You just became the defender of the name, the defendant. Or you can say, Judge, I'm here for that matter. That's what the lawyers do. What evidence do you have that anything is required other than enjoy the moment? What evidence do you have that I registered to vote? And even if I did, could you prove I registered to vote? And then he had the nerve to tell me I wasn't listening to him. Well, if I wasn't listening to him, I'd like to ask him to know where them questions came from. If I offended you, would you be so kind to forgive me? Wait a minute, yeah. The thing of it is, man, do you know what you're talking about? That's the question. Would it make sense until you know what you're talking about to keep asking questions? Think about the question and why it was asked. Could the answers be in the questions?